Shabbat shalom, everyone. How are you doing, sis? I'm just gonna bring you in and go waste no time. Shabbat shalom.
Hear you.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. Shabbat shalom to the Mispaka, to our family. Welcome once again on this beautiful set of our day of our Abiyah that He has kept us and has allowed us to see. So, how is everything going on your end on the Sabbath?
I am on cloud 9. That's all I'm going to say right now. But I just telling you, I am just so enjoyed, and I just give praise and honor and high esteem to our Creator, our Heavenly Abba, our sovereign power. Hallelujah. Just a
Yes,
shout
all
out
of
to
it, all
God.
of the
Yes,
aforementioned.
yes. But
Yah is great and greatly to be praised.
yes, hallelujah. I saw the glimpse of that title and I'm
Right.
ready. Okay.
Oh, you get ready. You guys are definitely in for a treat today. Today's message that we're going to be bringing before you saw it on the screen, Abib, and we're going to be talking about Abib. I had a great week too. I didn't it was an awesome week for me. Once again, for those of you who are listening, who have been on this journey with Prina and I, we both have something to share today, and mine will probably come first. Prina will share at the end, so we're gonna get started with the Abib in the ear confirmation from Yah. We're gonna begin with that. Today's message is really more like it's a message. It's kind of informational because we're going to be talking about Abib. We're going to be talking about what Abib is. We're going to go over a couple of scriptures, but most of it, what you're going to see today, this is not going to be long and drawn out today, is really a testimony. Today, Yah is going to be glorified. His name is going to be lifted up. As I stated, we have something to share with you. I put together a video presentation to show you what Yah has done this week. And then Prina has an awesome testimony at the end. So we're going to save her testimony until after we get done with today's message. But you'll see what Yah did. You'll see what Yah did during this video presentation that I have put together for you. And Yah is going to be glorified today. And so let's go ahead and get started. So as we talk about Abib, and for those of you who are not familiar with Abib, we're going to go into what it is, but I kind of want to give a background history and why we celebrate. First of all, we keep it because it is commanded for his people to honor it. And it was given to Israel, YasharAL. But Abib is a visible way for us to determine that spring has arrived. But it's also the significance of Abib is directly connected to a pivotal time of our people. It's during a pivotal time of our people, YasharAL. And that was when they departed from Egypt by the mighty hand of Yah. Okay. And so we're going to read a couple verses of some things that I think that will kind of set the background for what we're going to go into. But in Exodus chapter 9, in the beginning of Exodus chapter 9, Yah had already put boils on all of Egypt, Pharaoh and all his livestock, but he still had not repented. He still, did not let his people go. For those of you who are familiar, you know that Yah hardened Pharaoh's heart so that he wouldn't let them go. But this was all by design so that Yah could show his power and to make his name great before his people to see, so that they could see who he really was, because Pharaoh is supposed to be this, big, great, king, whatever you want to call him, commander. He's ruling, this great ruler, this all-powerful ruler. And Yah said, I'm going to show who my might and my power to my people. So that they will know that, and you hear this all the time, so you will know that I am Yah. So there's many times, and it's going to be today, Well, not only myself, but Prina, we're going to show you today. So you will know that he is Yah. I found out this week that I knew, but he showed me physically that he is Yah. And so when Yah is doing something, he's going to do it in a way where nobody else is going to be able to take credit for it. It's going to be by his hand, his might, and his power. He will do things that couldn't have been done under normal circumstances. And so that's what you're going to see today. And that's why you hear Prina, the excitement in her voice. And I'm excited too. And I don't want to go ahead of how I prepared to lay this out for you. But again, in Exodus chapter 9, in the beginning, Yah had already put boils on all of Egypt and Pharaoh and all his livestock. But again, he still had not repented. So Yah sent the plague among them. And so we're going to go ahead and read Exodus 9, verses 30 and 31. It says, for at this time, Yah is speaking, he says, I am going to send all my plagues to your heart and on your servants and on your people, so that you may know that none is like me in all the land. For now I have sent forth my hand and have stricken you and your people with pestilence, and you have been destroyed from the earth. And for this reason, I have made you stand. Okay, listen to this. Listen to verse 16, because this is the whole, this is going to set up everything. He says, and for this reason, he said, I have made you stand. I've caused you to stand. Yah is almighty. He is all powerful. Okay, none who can compare to them. Who is like him? There's none that can compare to him. He says, I have caused you to stand. You're not standing on your own. He says, I have caused you to stand in order to cause you to see my power and in order to declare my name in all the land. So the whole purpose the whole purpose of Yah hardening Pharaoh's heart was so that he can make his name great before his people, YasharAL. So he caused him to stand. Sometimes Yah will allow your enemies to stand, all for the very purpose, and they've been afflicting you for a long time, for a while, and you're thinking that Yah is not hearing them. It could very well be that he is causing your enemies to stand so he can show his power. Okay, YasharAL, I want you to think about that today. When we think about the oppression of our people, we have to first remember that we made a covenant and we broke that covenant. But in that same stance, we're in at the point where Yah is judging our enemies. We don't have to fight. He says, vengeance is mine. You walk in the spirit of Yah. You walk as according to this word and do what he commanded you to do and repent and be obedient. He will handle your enemies. YasharAL didn't have to fight with no one. He fought for them. Every time they went to war and to battle, he was with them. He'll say, I am with you. Our forefathers would consult with him. Should we go to battle? Are you going to be with us? Is this your will? And if it was his will, he would say, I am with you. Or I will go before you. Or I will send my messenger before you to guard you in the way. All of those different types of phrases that you've heard in scripture, especially in the Torah, that was confirmation to his people that I am your defender. I cover you. That means basically, when he says, I'm your defense, I'm your defender, that means that he is covering you. Okay, he is covering you. His word covers us. So when he causes your enemies to stand, even our enemies to this day, we're still YasharAL. And for those who have, you know, he is going to show his power again. He is going to show his power again. So fret not. Just do what you're supposed to do on your end. But he said, I have made you stand in order to cause you to see my power and in order to declare my name in all the land. Okay, we just got finished talking about his name. Name in the Hebrew is breath. Okay, it is breath. And so he's going to make his name great. We know that Moses was shown the name of Yah in Exodus 34. Okay, we know that he's merciful and he's gracious and he has mercies that endure forever and his love is steadfast. We know that he is slow to anger. We know that he's great in goodness and truth. We know that he forgives iniquities, transgressions, and sins, but we also know that he does not leave entirely unpunished the guilty. Okay, and he will visit the iniquities on the fathers, on the sons, to the third and fourth generation. That is his name. His name is jealous. He's jealous over his people. And so he's showing his people, just as a man who pursues a woman to betroth him, to become engaged, that he's going to enter into a covenant. That man, before he marries you, and he has to woo that woman. He has to show that woman what are the benefits of me yielding and submitting to you? What are the benefits of being in covenant with you? You know, that man is going to show her how much he loves her. He's buying her flowers. He's, you know, giving her affirmations. He's doing things for her. He's, you know, he's treating her better than anyone that, you know, has ever treated her. The whole purpose of when a father gives his daughter to someone, to a man, he wants to make sure that this man can provide and protect and care for her and do all the things, because it's not just financially providing and protecting, and it's not just financially providing for her, because you can provide for someone financially but not still be a husband. Yah doesn't just provide for us, his people, financially, but Yah provides for us emotionally, spiritually, with his word to help edify and build us up through his son, Yahusha, whom he sent. That was the greatest love ever. That was the greatest love ever, for him to send his only begotten son. He came for the purpose of being livestock, to die. Livestock, we learned why Yahusha was born in the manger. He was born in the manger because the Ruach revealed to me, when you know what a manger is where a livestock go to get their food. But the sole purpose of these domestic animals, these livestock, they're born and bred for the sole purpose of being consumed for the nourishment of the people. Like when you eat, you know, cow meat, when you're eating hamburger and all, it's for the sole purpose of being consumed to nourish the people. Yahusha was born in a manger, in the same space that the animals go and seek their food to be nourished. He is our nourishment. The Ruach revealed to me that I sent my son. He came down low. Okay, he humbled himself to die for you so that he could nourish you. His word nourishes us. And so having a husband is about, yes, financially, Yah provides for us. He clothes the grass, he feeds the birds. So what more will he not do for his service? He provides for our every need. So we don't worry, he says, and have anxiety about tomorrow, for he says that has enough worry and anxiety in itself. We trust him. We know that he's our almighty one. His arm is not too short. There's nothing that he can't do. He can make the impossible be possible. Okay, things that should not have been or could not have been, Yah can say, they say no, but I say yes. And so Yah is all powerful, all knowing. There's nothing that he cannot do. There's no mountain that he cannot move, and his name is great. And so when you think about a husband is going to not only provide for you financially and physically, meeting your needs physically, okay? But he's going to meet your needs spiritually. He's going to feed your soul. He's going to make sure that he teaching his family, his wife, his children. He's going to lead that home. He is the head of that household. He is going to teach, and he's going to make sure that he's also protecting. So he's a provider. He's a protector, and making sure that she's safe. You know, if anything happened, he's going to put himself in line's way of harm. He's going to shield and protect his wife and his children. He's going to be there every way for her. This is what Yah has done and did for Israel. YasharAL. He did the same thing for them. And so what you're seeing here is he's going to make his name great. He is wooing YasharAL. He is honoring the covenant that he made with Abraham, our forefather, and Yah, his people, chosen people, YasharAL. They're going to see how great he really is. They're going to see his power, his strength, his might. They're going to see how great his name is. And so that's the only reason why Pharaoh was even made to stand. And it was in order, Yah says in verse 16, to cause you to see my power, in order to declare my name in all the land. He says, you are still exalting yourself against my people so as to not send them away. And so what we find at the end, after he sends the plague, Yah finally sends the final blow to Egypt, and that is the death of the firstborn of all of Egypt, even down to the animals. So Abib is significant because it commemorates the time when our people came out of Egypt, because we came out during the time of Abib. And so when is it? When is it? Okay, we in our land where we're at in the world, they do not honor the biblical calendar, Yah's biblical calendar. They honor the new year in January, when the dead of the winter, when it's cold, when everything is dead, there's no life that's there. The leaves have fallen off the trees, the green, it may be yellow or brown or no grass, or it may be covered with snow. Abib, Yah's new, when you think about the new year, this is how backwards the world is. We don't want to do things according to scripture. We want to do things in the way that we want to do them. So when you think about the term new, what words, generate to your mind when you think about new? Because when I think about new, I think about fresh. Those are words that come to mind. Clean, revival, something that is revived, something that is lively, those types of things. When something is new, it's not dead. Dead does not come to mind. When I think of synonyms for new, dead is not one of the things that come to mind. In January, everything is dead. Everything is lifeless. Dead and lifeless does not reflect when the word Abib, and it does not reflect anything that is new. Okay. And so the biblical new year, we're going to go over some scriptures in a minute, but we want to first talk about how is it determined, because as I stated earlier, it's a visible, okay, Abib is a visible way for us to determine when spring has arrived, because when spring is here, we see a turnover of everything. We see the trees, are growing leaves again. The grass is green again. We see butterflies. We see all the animals that have been hibernating coming back. So it's like everyone is coming back to life again. You see, everything is lively again. Everything is new again. And, you know, we don't see that in the wintertime. And so it's a reason why we feel a certain way when spring comes. Like everyone is yearning for spring to come. We love being out in the sun and seeing the butterflies and the bees and, you know, all of Yah's creation coming out of hibernation. It's just, it has a different feel to it when spring comes, and, you know, the weather is nice, and it's just a different time. You can sit out on your porches and just enjoy. It's a lively time. Spring is a lively time. It is a time of a renewal for all of creation, okay, and a return to life. So when is it? So I have a couple of scriptures here on the screen that I want to read before I go into the scriptures that command that we keep it. Psalms, well, I'll go to the first one, is Genesis 1:14, where Yah said, let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. And then Psalms 104:19 says that he appointed, meaning Yah appointed, the moon for seasons, and the sun knoweth his going down. And so when it says let there be lights, notice that this is plural, not just one light, but lights. So it's speaking about the two lights. The sun is a greater light, and the lesser light is the moon. The sun is rules the day, and the moon rules the night. Okay. And Yah says in Genesis 1:14 that they will be for signs for when the seasons are here. So when you look at seasons in context, and I meant to put it up on the screen, but I forgot. So, but it's Moedim. So these seasons, when you look this up, is for knowing the seasons. We have 4 different seasons, but also it says the feast. Okay, the Moedims, it also says the feast, and it's for the day. So these seasons are Moedims when you look this up in context, Moedims, and it's also for days and for years, so that we will know when the days were, okay, the literal days, and then also the years. And then it says in Psalms 104:19 that he appointed the moon for the season. So the moon determines the seasons, and the sun knoweth it's going down. So we determine a day from sundown to sundown, okay? From sundown to sundown. When the sun goes down, the new day begins, and it says the sun knows it's going down, okay? So we're going to talk about when this is. So Abib has again been appointed by Yah to determine the first month, and we're going to see that in scripture. It determines when the first month is, and the moon, as you see on the screen in Psalms 104:19 and in Genesis, even though it doesn't say moon, but this is when it says the lights, these are the 2 great lights. The sun is a great light that rules the day, and the moon is a great light that rules the night. So the moon, as we see, was appointed for seasons. It's appointed for Yah's set apart feast days, okay? And when you see, like, and Preeta and I actually did a study. We had did what we call professional development, because we want to know, not according to the confusion, for the ones that we can keep here. We want to know when it is and how to identify it, and know what it is marked by. And so the new moon, and you may say new moon, but new moon just simply means the new month. Okay, the new moon, which is the new month, is literally means the first day of the month. Okay, and this is marked by a visible, because we were looking at and we were studying this and we have been praying on this and asking the Father Yah to give us understanding of this. And so it's marked by, like many people see, it's called the sliver of the moon. And so let me kind of put my light on so I'm not just talking and you don't know where I'm at. So like you see this little slither here. So the moon goes through cycle phases, whatever you want to call it. And so when it's when we're talking about, we're not talking about a full moon. A full moon is not the new moon. A full moon is completely dark. And when you see it's completely covered, we're talking about the new moon. So the new moon is the sliver here. So when you begin to see the moon once again show itself, doesn't matter how small, now you know the beginning of the new month. Okay, so I hope I'm not getting this wrong, but it's covered, and we're not talking about the full moon. So when we talk about the full moon, I think the full moon, Aprina, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the full moon is when it's fully, because illuminated, isn't it? When okay, so it's when it's completely illuminated. That's when it is full. And you got to be patient with me because we're still have been trying to learn this, but when it's the full moon, it's completely illuminated. I believe it's when it's fully illuminated. And then it begins to go through its cycle. So sometimes you may see a half moon and then you don't see it at all. Once it comes, that cycle phase comes back around, then that's when you have the sliver. This is the new moon or the new month, and this is marked by the first visible slither, or some people call it the crescent, whatever you want to call it, but the first little sliver that you do see, that lets you know that we are back with the first day of the month, and our people did honor the new moon. So, which is the new month. Is this basically, when you say new moon, you're just basically saying new month. So let's go to, again, so when our people were coming out, because when is it? How do we determine Abib? Okay, so Abib and the new year, that's not the same thing. And I do want to clear that up. Okay, Abib marks when the new month is it, and it normally will let us know. So I'll go into scripture. It says, now the flax and the barley were ruined. This is when we're still in Exodus 9. This is when our people were coming out, and Yah was striking all of their livestock. He was striking their crops, everything. He says, now the flax and barley were ruined, for the barley was in the ear. The barley was in the ear. So when we talk about the flax and barley, these are grains. There are many different grains. Some people say, well, it wasn't determined by the barley. I'm not here to argue today with anyone on that. If you feel you have something to contribute at the bottom, in the description, when we're done with this, feel free. If you have anything you want to contribute in love, we don't mind that, but please do not come on with belligerent and coming on being contentious, because all I'm going to do is block you. Okay, so but the flax and the barley, it says in Exodus 9 verse 30 and 31, the flax and the barley were ruined, for the barley was in the ear and the flax was in bud, but the wheat and the omer were not, the emmer was not hurt, for they ripened late. So then this is just prior to them coming out of Egypt. So the flax and the barley were ruined. So why is it saying that they're ruined? Because the barley was in the ear. It was in the ear and the flax was in bud. Okay, so some people say, well, it wasn't barley because the scriptures does not say. The scripture does not say that it was barley. it tells them that Abib, and we're going to go to that scripture, but we're given a clue when we look at these things and context is say it, even though it doesn't physically say it. So that's why I said I'm not here to argue. All we know is that it's determined by the grain, and the ear, and it says it was in the ear. Barley at this time, when they were coming out of Egypt, and the flax, these were the only grains that was ripe, that had formed the head. Okay, at this time, these were the only two that were ripe and had that formed the head, and that was in the ear. Now you're looking at it. Okay, Yah had, during this time that he had brought them out of Egypt, and I want to make that very clear that these were the two. So normally this is happens just prior to the new month, or which you call the new moon. And this is how they would know that this is the beginning of the new year, from Abib. So let's read a couple of scriptures. Deuteronomy 12:2 says, this month is the beginning of months for you. It shall be the first month of your year. Okay, so when they came out, Yah said, this month is the beginning of months for you, meaning this is the beginning of the month. It shall be the first month of your year. So Abib, again, as I told you in the beginning, this was significant because it's directly connected to our people's departure of Egypt. We came out during that time. Okay, look at Deuteronomy 16:1. It says, observe the month of Abib. So Abib is actually the month. And this is the first month. And we're going to go into what this actually means, what Abib actually means. We're going to go into this in context. Observe the month of Abib and celebrate the Passover to Yah your Almighty, because in the month of Abib, Yah your Almighty brought you out of Egypt by night. So again, this is the reason why we celebrate it. This is the reason why we honor it, YasharAL, was because Yah gave it to us. He told us to observe the month of Abib. This is the beginning of month. This is the head of the month. It shall be the first month of your year. So Abib is the first month of the year. Okay. So let's go to month in context. It is Kodesh. So this is Kodesh. This is set apart. It says the new moon. So when you says observe the month of Abib, the month of Abib is the new moon. Okay, that's what month. The new moon of Abib. So where you see that, observe the month of Abib. Month means new moon, by implication, a month. Observe the new moon of Abib. And the new moon, when the moon is completely illuminated, that means completely lit, and it's light, lit up. That is when you call it a full, that's the full moon. The full moon is not when it's all dark and you can't see anything. That's not the full moon. The full moon is, the moon is complete when you can look out there and see the moon. Thank you, Rock, for bringing back the study, because I didn't have my notes. We studied this a while back last year, so I was a little confused because we're still learning this, but thank you for your patience. But thank you, Rock, for bringing it back to memory. When the moon is completely illuminated, it is fully illuminated. You see a full circle and it's all lit up. That is the full moon. Now, when it goes through phases, and then it goes from that full moon and you begin to see some of it being covered. Okay, once it's completely covered, then you begin to look for that sliver, meaning you look for that sliver like I showed you, that little bit of sliver that kind of looks like a crescent, because it's only going to come in a little at a time, because the new moon is coming back in a little by little in phases. And so when you see that first phase, that slither that kind of looks like a crescent that's lit up, just that sliver that's lit, that is the beginning. That's the first. That's the first day of the new year, the first month. So when we think about now, because we know spring is approaching. And so now that's how you will determine. Okay, we know that spring is approaching. I looked it up yesterday. No, I've been studying it over the past week. And the 21st is when the slither, which is next week, actually on Tuesday. So the new moon or the new month is going to be on the 21st of next week, because I was looking at the thing to see the phases of when that new month is going to be. And so Yah says, so there, that's when you count day one, and then you count 14 days, and that's when the Passover, Pesach, is celebrated on the 14th day of the first month. And Yah is commanding YasharAL. This was given to YasharAL, his people, to observe the month, the new moon of Abib. This is how you determine the new year. And then you celebrate the Passover to Yah, your Almighty One. It says, because why are we celebrating it? As I stated earlier, it's directly connected to our departure from Egypt. He says, because in the month of Abib, that's when Yah, your Almighty One, he brought you out of Egypt by night. And at that time, when he brought them out, as I showed you, the flax and the barley were the only two grains that were visible, that was in the ear. Some people say, well, it doesn't say barley, and it doesn't. When you look up there, Deuteronomy 12:2, it says, this is the month. It is the beginning of months for you. This month is the beginning of months for you. It shall be the first month of the year. So it does not. So let's go to Abib in context. So it means to be tender, okay? It means to be tender. It is the new green ear. It is the young ear of grain. So it doesn't state what it is. That's why I don't argue with people, because it does not state. But barley was what the grain that the YasharAL used to make bread. And the reason why I say, and Yahusha is the head of the body. He is the bread of life. Now people say, well, you can make bread with flaxseed. Yeah, you can. So I'm not gonna argue with people, but just know that it was the grain when it was in the ear, and we'll keep it at that, because I don't want anybody, coming in my comments. But this is what Abib means, to be tender. So it is a young ear of grain, young ear. So just like you having a baby is a young ear, a young child. It says, hence the name of the month, Abib. All right, so what does Abib mean according to the ancient Hebrew lexicon of the Bible? Let's go into that. So it means to stand. I'm like, we've been talking about standing for quite some time now. All of the teachings, the last 4 teachings, I did a message on standing. And so we want to look here. I want to direct your attention to where I want you to look. So it means stand or pole. The pictograph Aleph represents strength, and the bet, okay, represents the tit. Combined, these mean strength of the house. So this is the strength of the house. The Aleph and the bet mean strength of the house. So for those of you who are not aware, that means father. Abba, father, is spelled Aleph bet. The father is the strength of the house. It says this can be the 10 poles which hold up the tent, the house, as well as the father who holds up the family, the household. And so when you look down here at the bottom, it says the new green ears of growing grain as the parent seeds attached to the stalk. Now, I want you to really, really pay attention to this one. I want you to really pay attention, but let me go back up here. I want to go back up here. I want to bring your attention back to here because there's something else that I want to add to this. Let's read this again. We know Aleph Bet actually literally spells father, Abba, okay? But Aleph Bet together means the strength of the house. Yah is the strength of the house. It says this can be the tent poles which hold up the tent, the house, as well as the father who holds up the family and the household. And so as I was looking at this definition, Yah brought some things back to my mind. So the poles hold up the tent. The poles hold up the house. So when you look at this picture of the tent, you see the poles and it's holding up the tent. And the Ruach, as I was preparing this, the Ruach, and I read this definition that Abib, we're talking about Abib, okay, that we keep the beginning of the new year. The poles hold up the tent or hold up the house as the father who holds up the family, and the father holds up the household. The father is the head of the household. Not just Yah being our head, Yahusha is the head of the body, and his head is Yah, and Yah's head over all. But when we think about your household, the father is the head. What Yah helped me to see was that Aleph Bet means father. The father is the strength of the house. The father is the power. Strength means power. Strength means support. So it doesn't, so it's no wonder why they want to remove the father. The world wants to remove the father from the household, because if you remove the father from the household, you remove the support. That's why you get child support, because the father has been removed from the home. Abib means strength of the house. It means to stand. Matthew 12 and 25. I've been talking about this for 3 weeks. A kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. A house, a city, or a house that is divided against itself cannot stand. Let me say this again. Matthew 12 and 25, a kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. We know that the two houses split. We know that the two houses were divided. They were brought to desolation. A city, Matthew 12 and 25 continues, a city or a house that is divided cannot stand. When the father is removed from the household, so is the support of the household. When the father is removed, and I'm going to say it again, when the father is removed from the household, so is the support removed from the household. Do you think it is if the father is removed from the household, whether by force, whether the woman didn't want him there, or he left and he abandoned his family, and he's not taking care of it. He's not sending money, and the mother has to figure out how I'm gonna pay all these bills, how I'm gonna pay for, these children. You can have a father in the house, and I know from experience, you can have a father in the house and he still not be the support, but that's not how it's supposed to be. But definitely once the father is removed, now there comes child support, because the father is the support. And once he is removed, there is no more support. And now the mother has to figure out how she's going to support the family. And so she might have to get 2 jobs just to support the family, to pay all of the bills. And so when the father is removed from the home, this is a reason why you see desolation brought to households. This is why you see calamity brought. This is the reason why you see that they cannot stand. Sometimes when the father is removed, of course, they may do child support, but the mother may have to leave. Maybe they might have to move in with family because they can't afford it anymore. So that family is brought to desolation. It's brought to despair. It's brought to confusion because the children are confused. The children don't have their father. They don't have their head. They don't have leadership in the home. They don't have direction in the home. Their identity is not in the home. So you will see a lot of times when the father is not in the home, and we see this is part of our curse. The mother is leaving. The mother is the head of the household. You know, the children are on the street corners, buck wild, because there's no father in the home. The house is brought to desolation. And so I want you to think about that. As I'm preparing this, y'all's like bringing this all back. And this is the reason why the world and Hasatan, the enemy, our adversary, is working so hard. He started in the beginning with Adam and Eve. They were in paradise. Okay, they were in the house of Yah. In his presence, they disobeyed him and touched the tree of knowledge and good and evil. Okay, that tree was not the upright tree. It wasn't the upright tree that they touched, and they fell. That's why we refer to Adam and Eve as a fall of mankind. They fell. Why? Because the house was divided. How can 2 walk unless they agree? They were no longer in agreement with the Father because they broke the covenant. And what happened? He sent them out of his house. Just like he tells you in Deuteronomy, is it 20, Deuteronomy 24 or 4, where when a man finds uncleanness in his wife, and he has to give her a certificate of divorce, and then he sends her out of the house. Now the house is divided. How can 2 walk unless they agree? Once the house is divided, they cannot stand anymore as a family. And the world perpetuates women raising children without the father. People think it is okay to continue to have baby after baby after baby, and oh yeah, I can do it all on my own. I don't need no man. I can do it by myself. You know, that's foolishness that's talking. That's a silly woman that's talking. Are there times when you have to do it by yourself if he leaves? Yes, that happens all the time. Our men have dropped the ball. Let's keep it real. However, that is not the goal. The women are around here shouting and doing parades and advertising and endorsing having children out of wedlock and having babies, and the father's not in the home, and it's okay, and I can just do in vitro. And all in vitro fertilization is an abomination, because you are basically manipulating and trying to create outside of the womb. And creation is, he had it where it was set to be inside of the womb, to be done in secret, not to be in some jar. They don't have it in the lab, because you can't have children. That's something you need to pray and seek the Father for, and fast and ask for him to open up your womb. But our people wasn't doing this stuff like this. This is the technology that has become wicked, because now you're saying, well, it's not Yah hasn't opened the womb. Well, I'm gonna open your womb. We gonna manipulate it, and you can have a baby outside the womb. They got now where they have tanks, and whatever baby you want, what color eyes you want, what kind of hair, what kind of personality. They got it over China now, where they creating babies in labs and got a synthetic womb, and this wickedness. In vitro fertilization, doing those things, what people are having them are wicked. I see people on YouTube all the time, and I'm just really trying to discern this was not by Yah. This was you. And I'm got completely off of the subject. I got to reel myself back in. But the family unit, that is what Satan wants to destroy, the family unit, because there is no support. So Abib represents standing. Remember, he told Pharaoh, I have caused you to stand just so that I can make my name great, so that I can show my power and make my name great. So Abib is the head. It's the head. It is the support. It's the beginning of the year. Okay, the first month and the beginning of the year. And I know I took a little bit of time with that, but as I'm being led by the Ruach, I speak. So let's go down here. It says it also means grain, green grain. Does not say barley or anything like that. That's why I don't argue, but I do know that it is a green grain. The new green ears of growing grain as the parent seeds attached to the stalk. So now I really want you to pay attention, because this is going to have a lot to do with something I'm going to show you later. But it says the new green ears of growing grain as the parent seeds attached to the stalk, attached to the pole. So the new green ear, the baby ear, as growing grain, as the parent seeds that, and it's attached to the stalk, it's attached to the pole of the next generation of crops, that are getting ready to rise up. Also, Abib, the name of a month in the Hebrew calendar. So it is the name of a month. Abib is the name of the month. So when you look here and you see the new green grain coming up out of the ear. Okay. So I just wanted to show you that. And it is spelled Aleph Bet Yod Bet. So Aleph Bet Yod Bet. I keep turning this light on and off. I need to just leave it on. So Aleph Bet is Abba. Okay. This is Abba, father. Aleph Bet is father, the support of the house, the strength of the house. And then we know what Yod means. Yod is the arm or the hand. That is our master Yahusha, the arm of the hand. It means to create. He is the arm of Yah. He is the hand of Yah. It means to create. It means to make. It means to do. And then we already know what house means. And so just looking at both of these two together, the father of the house, he is the strength of the house. He is the arm of the house. He creates and supports and the house. When you look at all of these things and what Abib means, when it says that Abib means to stand, you can see what he did, because the father is the strength. That's why you sit there. Yod is the power, the strength. The father is the strength of the house. Aleph Bet, father. The Yod is the strength to create. And in the house, the father is the strength of the house. It's of support. So this is the reason why you see it. So that's where it is spelled, where you see a B, BM. Okay. Now let's go over ear. Since we're talking about the title of today's message is Abib in the ear. So Abib, ear means the Hebrew word ozan, and I may be pronouncing it wrong, but it is an agricultural tool. It means harvest or mattock. So this is a Zion is a picture of an agricultural cutting implement such as a mattock or the hoe. The nun is a picture of a seed. Combined, these mean mattock of the seed. Okay. One of the many agricultural tools was a hoe or a mattock. This implement had a wide blade for cutting a plant stalk at the roots. The crops were harvested for a supply of food which was stored in jars. So this has to, so the ear in Hebrew has to do with the harvest, okay? It also means serve, to serve or to service or to be a servant, a work performed or made for another out of obligation, requirement, or gratitude. So when you hear that saying, the harvest is plenty, but the workers are few, meaning there's not that many people that's serving, that's doing the service, that's doing the work, you know, that's where you get that whole thing. That actually means ear, to serve, to provide a service to another, or to work at a profession. And then it also means to hear, as in balance, broad ear for picking up sounds. And it also says audience. Okay, so I want you to keep this in mind here. The ear is broad, and the audience for hearing. So when you look this up in broad, this is wide physically, spacious, widespread. Okay, the ear is broad. When it's widespread, it means full. For you to really be able to hear, and it's not just one ear, it's actually the plural. I want to show you how my reading is lining up and where I'm actually at in my reading. I just finished up 2 Kings, and as Yah has been putting this teaching together and bringing me into Revelations and showing me some things, I was right at the place in my reading that lined up with Abib and everything that's going on that I'm going to show you. So I want to read some things in 2 Kings. And the king, so during this time, Israel was, they were caught up in all kind of idolatry, doing whatever they wanted to do. Again, they had completely abandoned the commandments, the teachings, the instructions. They weren't doing any of that anymore. They just had completely just forgot about Yah. They weren't honoring they were doing whatever was right in their own eyes. We see this over and over and over again. When there is no king, he says that everyone is doing what is right in their own eyes. So they were doing whatever they wanted to do. They weren't listening. As when we did our study in Judges, they were just doing whatever they wanted to do. And that's basically what Israel was doing at this time in 2 Kings. It just amazes me how much patience, when Yah say he is slow to anger, he really is, because it was just amazing to me how much idolatry and everything that was going on. I mean, the things that they were doing and the things that YasharAL was doing in the temple. This is in Solomon's temple that he built, his house for Yah, and they're doing all these sacrificing to Baal and got all kind of idols and astras set up. And I mean, our people were off the chain. It's a wonder Yah did not wipe us off. If it had not been for the covenant he made to Abraham, where would we be as a nation of people? Because our people are still doing this. These celebrities are doing the same thing. Beyonce, Rihanna, Jay-Z, all these celebrities, entertainers, they're doing the same things. I promise you that our people is doing. There is nothing new under the sun. So 2 Kings 23, I want to read a few. So we had a righteous king, King Josiah, who was gonna get rid of all of the Astras and the Baals, and because he had read, one of his servants had found the book of the law, the Torah, and when he read it and saw basically how far removed YasharAL was from honoring the covenant that they made, he rent his clothes. And he cried out, and he was commanding, like, everyone, look, gather all the people. We getting ready to stop this, because there was judgment that was told that's getting ready to come on the people because Manasseh and all of the things that Manasseh was doing. And Yah's like, my judgment is going to stand. Okay. And so that's where we are here. And so the king, when it says the king, is talking about King Josiah. So King Josiah sent, and they gathered him, they gathered to him all the elders of Judah and Jerusalem. And the king went up to the house of Yah, and every man of Judah, and all the ones living in Jerusalem with him, and the priests and the prophets and all the people, from the small of them to the greatest. And he read in their ears all the words of the book. He read in their ears all the words of the book of the covenant that was found in the house of Yah. So he is the new king, and he discovers this book. He did what was right in Yah's eyes. Okay, when you read all throughout Kings, when I was reading 1st and 2nd Kings, it just brought me back to when we did our in-depth study on the whole book of Judges. It was the same thing. It was the same thing over and over and over again. A new king come in, and he did wickedness in Yah's eyes. And the next king come in, he did worse than the previous king. It just was over and over and over again. So we're now in verse 4. And the king, and so now he had found the book of the law, the book of the covenant, and he's gathering everyone, all of Jerusalem, all of Judah, all the priests, all the prophets, all the people, no matter how small or great. And he read in their ears all the words of the book of the covenant that was found in the house of Yah. And the king commanded Hilkiah, the high priest, and the priests of the second order, and the keepers of the door, to bring out from the temple of Yah all the vessels that were made for Baal, and for Asherah, and for all the hosts of heavens. And he burned them at the outside of Jerusalem in the fields of Kidron, and carried their ashes to Bethel. Okay. And another thing I want to say, Bethlehem literally means the house of bread. Okay, that's where Yahusha was. So I just wanted to go back. I know this is kind of off, but that just came to my mind when I saw ashes to Bethel. And he caused to cease. So this king, Josiah, is causing to cease the idolatrous priests whom the kings of Judah had given place to burn incense in the high places in the cities of Judah and in the places around Jerusalem. So they were burning incense. So if you got incense, you burning incense in your house, repent and stop doing that, because burning incense is not of Yah. Okay, you're gonna open a door to for demons to be able to come in. That's, you invite spirits in your house when you're burning incense. So please do not burn incense in your house. Okay, you don't need to ward off spirits and waving sage, doing any of that stuff. That's not of Yah. This witchcraft. But King Josiah, verse 5, said he caused to cease the idolatrous priests whom the kings of Judah had given place to burn incense in the high places in the cities of Judah and in the places around Jerusalem, and those burning incense to Baal, to the sun, to the moon, to the constellation, to all the hosts of heaven. So they were off the chain. They burning incense, and this is literally in the house of Yah. Okay, burning incense to Baal, the sun, the moon. I mean, worshiping the creation instead of the creator. They broke all of the words that were in this book. So he's reading to them. He's gathering them together. He's causing to cease, Josiah, all of the idolatrous acts that have gone on. He even murders a lot of the priests that allowed this to go on. He even murders them. It says in verse 6, he brought out the sacred pole from the house of Yah to the outside of Jerusalem, to the torrent Kidron, and ground it to powder, and threw the powder of it on the graves of the sons of the people. And he broke down the houses of the male prostitutes that were in the house of Yah, where the women were weaving shelters for Asherah. I mean, when I think of it, just read this, like, I'm in awe. I'm shocked. When our people saw how powerful Yah was, they would actually, our people had no fear. That's what's going on today. There's no fear of Yah. They don't fear him. And so he's reading in their ears. Josiah he did that which was right in the eyes of Yah. He broke down the pillars and got rid of the Baals and the Astras and caused to cease all the idolatry that was going on. And then he gathered all the people and read in their ears all the words of the book. So ears, according to ancient Hebrew lexicon of the Bible, is the same thing that we saw earlier when I showed you Ozen. Ear in the Hebrew means, if you look at the top, broadness, concrete, the ear, audience. So same thing down here. Ear means balance, the broad ear for picking up sounds. The ear as broad, the audience. So when you look about, when you compare the strong Hebrews as well as the ancient Hebrew lexicon of the Bible at the bottom, it lines up. The first one at the top, the Hebrews 2:4:1, this is in context what it means. So what it is saying, it means in context. When I look up ear in the ancient Hebrew lexicon of the Bible at the bottom, it's showing the same thing. It's lining up. And so what he's doing is he gathered the audience. Okay, that's where the broadness comes in, to hear the word of the book, so that they can do what? All for the purpose of returning. But look at what else it says ear mean, according to the ancient Hebrew lexicon of the Bible. It says head of the grain. Ear means head of grain, the beginning of grain. You see this? And so I'm going to now go into my testimony, and I have some video presentations I put together, and I want you to go ahead and watch.
Shalom, brothers and sisters. So, you're listening to this audio, and it is, you're hearing this on Shabbat. Today is Wednesday. It's the mid of the week, March the 15th. And I'm going on my walk. But before you see the miracle, because the Father Yah has literally once again done his work, and I am super excited about sharing what he has done. And so I wanted, before I show you this video, I just want to take about 2 minutes just to talk about what's been grieving my heart within this awakening, and that is the rejection of Yahusha HaMashiach, the only begotten Son of the Father. And the reason why, even in this day and age where he has been calling his sheep, the good shepherd Yahusha has been calling the sheep, the reason why so many in this awakening cannot hear their shepherd is because they have rejected him, because they have wandered off, because they don't know who their owner is. Let me say this. The reason why there's so much confusion in this awakening is because they have rejected the salvation of Yah. Yahusha is Yah's salvation. And those who reject him, those who reject his authority, because of his Father delegated authority to him, and he came to this earth with the authority to operate in the authority that was given to him by his father, Yah. And for those of you who reject the renewed covenant, which is the New Testament, those of you who reject the Brit Hadashah, those of you who reject his teachings and instructions, many of you are doing so. You're confused about the Apostle Shaul's, the Apostle Paul's teachings, his writings, which Scripture tells you it's hard to understand. And those who are unlearned, those who are unskilled, twist them to their own destruction. So because you don't understand the Spirit, let me just say this. Can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. What's happening right now is the fact that this word is spirit and it is life. Okay? You cannot understand, because Yahusha's spirit, you can't understand the things of the Spirit with a carnal mind. So many people who are so stuck with the natural, they're so stuck with the physical, and they're arguing, well, it said this, and it said that David is his father, and David is, the reason why you can't understand just like the things that should be simple, for those who truly have an ear to hear, they hear it. They hear what the Spirit is saying. They're not hearing what the carnal mind of the flesh, the physical, earthly things are saying. Yahusha said, those who have an ear to hear what the Spirit is saying, what the Ruach is saying, what the breath of Yah is saying. You cannot understand the things that are of the spiritual with a carnal mind. You cannot try to apply the carnal, the earthly, to the physical to try to understand and grasp what is spiritual. This is what the Pharisees, this is why they missed it. They didn't understand anything Yahusha was saying. He was speaking in parables, and they didn't understand it because they were blinded through their disbelief. Their disbelief is what blinded them from understanding the things that are of the Spirit. They could not understand the mystery of the kingdom because they were perishing. And my heart grieves today because so many of our brethren, they're going down that same road that our ancestors, our forefathers, all those that were under the cloud, all of those who were under that cloud that covered them as a pillar of fire by day and a pillar of fire by night. Pillar of cloud by day and pillar of fire by night. They were under that same cloud. Yet, they didn't understand what was before them. He said, he is my messenger. I'm going to send my messenger to go before you, to show you the way, and to save you. He says, but don't disobey him. Don't be rebellious against him because my name is in him. And he's not going to forgive you your transgressions. We're doing the same things our forefathers did. Those bones lie dead in that wilderness. They never made it out because of their disbelief. And many of you, because of your disbelief, the scripture says he's going to send a strong delusion. And you're going to believe that the lie is the truth. You're going to actually believe that the Mashiach doesn't exist. You're going to actually believe that he is not the only begotten Son of Yah. You're going to actually believe that lie is the truth. You're going to believe that he does not and has not been given authority by his Father. You're going to believe all of these things because you're under the strong delusion, because you love a lie. So those of you who have an ear to hear this message, what I'm getting ready to show you, you're getting ready to see a miracle. Once again, Yah has shown his acts to me as he did to the children of Israel through my plant Joseph. You all remember my story from before when Joseph began to die in September in the fall. Well, Yah has revived him, and you are not going to believe what you're getting ready to see. Those of you who have an ear to hear what the Ruach, what the Spirit is saying, you're going to hear it, you're going to see it, you're going to believe it, and it's like Yah did it so perfectly this time that what he did with Joseph is going to align with Abib and what it means according to the ancient Hebrew lexicon of the Bible. And then he even aligned it with my daily readings that I've been reading. You know, you guys, I've been in 2 Kings. Well, he had it so aligned so perfectly that it even where I'm at in my reading aligns with where he wanted me to be, to line up all of this. Like literally, when I say my Yah is on time, and I mean on time, his timing is perfect. Those who wait on him shall not be ashamed. Those who wait on him, he shall renew their strength. Wait till you see what he has done with Joseph. I cannot wait for you guys to see this. Stay tuned. Shalom. Shalom, everyone. Today is, as you can see here, Sunday, March the 12th, 2023. And I want to show you, so you all, I chronicled my journey before when Joseph died, when all his leaves fell off, all the petals fell off. And you see what's left, right? Look at this. The arm of Yah, that's what's left. That's the shape of the branches. They're still green. But I want to show you what popped up this morning when I came in this morning. I woke up this morning. Look at this branch, guys. I just watered Joseph. So we have this little, this baby petal has been coming in. This came in, started coming in about, I would say about 3 weeks ago. I noticed this, so you notice this is significantly smaller than the rest. So, but look here, guys. Look what has risen up out of nowhere. And if you can really look at this, you can see that there are buds. And I'm trying to get as close up as I can. There are buds that are getting ready to be birthed forth from this branch. This branch just came out of nowhere. I didn't even see this branch. I don't know where it came from, but I've been watering this plant for months. Once a week, I water it, try to water it on the Sabbath. Once a week. Nothing is happening. And then all of a sudden, when I wake up this morning and I look over and behold, this branch just came out of nowhere. And as you can see, that there are going to be buds that are coming forth. I'm going to continue to keep chronicling what Yah is doing. We know that the new biblical Hebrew year, Abib, is coming up soon. And Yah, once again, is doing his work. His hand, Yod, and power is once again showing up. I just had to show you this, guys. I am super excited because I thought that it was going to come here. See, this is shaped like, this branch here is shaped. Now, this is not a branch. This is just a stick here that I have holding the branch up so it's not leaning. But right here, this is the yod. Let me see if I can back up a little bit. You see? It's shaped like a yod. It's shaped like the hand. Okay? And out of nowhere, because you know that I repotted this plant. I was led by the Ruach to repot it, to give Joseph a new pot for this new season. And so Joseph means Yah will add, Yah will increase. And so I did that. Let me make it a little bit smaller so that you can see. Yeah. And I did that. So this is his pot. I did that because I was led by the Ruach to take Joseph out of his old pot and put it in this new pot. You know, we cannot put new wine in old wine skins. So I had to buy Joseph a new pot for this new season and for whatever Yah is doing. But when you look here, you can see, guys, look what is coming through. Do you see it? You see it right there. This new branch is coming up out of nowhere, guys. Out of nowhere. It's coming. There you go. It's coming. So, just by faith, I trusted in Yah. I trusted in what the Word told me. I continue to water this plant every week. That was a while ago. And we see what's happening. And I can't wait to see these new buds come forth. But I just wanted to share this with you guys. But I can see what's already getting ready to happen. I'm so happy to take you guys once again on this journey. Today again is Sunday, March the 12th. And this is right after this lesson that we just did on a breath of Yah. Shalom. Shalom, brothers and sisters. So I want you guys to look at Joseph. This is the arm of Yah. If you look at the branches that are left, it's shaped in the form of an arm. Okay, this is the arm. Now let me show you, in light of the information that we have learned today about Abib and what we have learned that it means green, the new green grain in the ear. Okay, look at the ear here. This is the baby ear. And let me, Lord, so that you can see this. Okay, so I minimize this. So you see that the new branch is coming up from inside the very ear. It is attached to the parent leaves. And this branch is connected and joined to the parent leaves, the parent ear. Look at this. This ear that's right here that I'm pointing to, this is the baby ear. See? It's not the same size as the parent ear, as a larger ear. This is the baby ear. This baby ear, I noticed this ear started coming up and start rising forth maybe about 3 weeks ago, maybe. And look how big it is from 3 weeks ago. And look what has risen right from the ear. I have never seen this. It is literally, do you see it here? Growing attached to the ear. Just as we just learned, according to the ancient Hebrew lexicon of the Bible. This is the new, these are the two newest leaves, but this one here, this is the new green ear that has just come through in time for Abib. And this was not here on yesterday. Today is the Sabbath. Well, today is Sunday, March the 12th. It was not here. When I looked at this on Friday evening, I was unctioned and during my worship time to look over. This branch that is coming forth was not here at all. And even if it was coming in, it would have started down here and then slowly rise up. This branch came out of nowhere. Do you see this? The new green ear, the new green grain appears. It is attached, and this pole, the stalk, is attached to the new ear, the new green ear that's coming through. Hallelujah. Yah, literally, what we're looking at is a visual picture of Abib. A visual picture. Literally, Yah is using my plant Joseph to show me his Hebrew New Year, the beginning of the new, when it says the new months, the new moons. The new moon is basically months in Hebrew. The new month. Abib is the sign. It takes away the guesswork that you will have in identifying when the new biblical year is, because the new green ear will appear prior to let us know that it is the new Hebrew year. And then you would, from the new moon, you would be able to count that would be the beginning of the first day. And you would count from there 14 days to Pesach. Hallelujah. Yah is so awesome. Give Yah the praise and the honor and the glory. Shalom. Who is like you? Who is like you? In all your power, who is like you? Who is like you? Who is like you? Let him come stand before you. Who is like you? Who is like you? Let the weight of your glory cover us. Let the life of your river flow. Let the truth of your kingdom reign in us. Let the weight of glory, let the weight of your glory fall. Let the weight of your glory fall. Hallelujah. Woo. This is almost bringing me to tears. You guys are literally looking at a miracle. I'm thinking that Yah is getting ready to have Joseph be rebirthed and revived. And I'm thinking he's going to come this way, because this is how he has done it. The past 2 years, he's done it this way. But that's not what he did. He said, behold, I come to do a new thing.
He literally, and I want to go because it says the new green ear. This is the new ear. Like literally this ear was so tiny, almost, it was like smaller than my pinky finger. It was so small, like it was so tiny. And it's been about 3 weeks and I noticed it growing here. And then now 3 weeks later, but this is the new green ear, literally. And Joseph, where you're seeing here, I'm showing you the faithfulness of Yah. This video is showing you the faithfulness of Yah. This is what Joseph looked like when I repotted him, when I obeyed the Ruach, telling me to get Joseph a new vessel, because he was not going to do anything in that old vessel. You cannot put new wine in an old wineskin. Okay, the new year is, everything has to be new. So I gave Joseph new pottery. I gave him new soil and a new pot. So what you're looking at over here, this is October the 28th, when Joseph was freshly repotted, resoiled, nothing is there. And then this is what you see today. He's even bigger today. Because what you're seeing here, that was on the 12th. Okay? That was on the 12th. That was on last Sabbath, I believe, was the 12th. And this was on the 15th. Okay? This was on the 15th. This was this week. And this was actually 2 days ago. So you can see a vast difference if you just look from here. He's grown even more. He's taller this morning when I woke up to look at him. He's even taller than he was because 2 days ago. He's even taller today. But the miracle, guys, is right here. He's not growing from the green. This is where Yah has done it in the past, where I will wake up and just see buds just on here. He did it differently because Prina and I have been praying. We've been asking the Father, Yah. We've been actually diligently studying to find out when his new year is, not according to the confusion that's going on in YasharAL and the awakening, everybody doing on 20 different days and 20 different times. And I prayed and asked the Father, Yah, to show me when. I need to know. And he literally did this 2 days before I was unctioned to look over at Joseph. When I looked over at him, this is what I saw. There was nothing there. And I'm looking like you would look at a child and scan their body to make sure there's no scars and there's nothing on them. Everything is right. I'm looking, I don't see any buds. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe that was in my head. Then on the 12th, so this had to happen overnight on the 11th, because when I woke up in the morning on the 12th, this is what I saw. You don't go from this to this overnight. When a bud is coming forth out of the ground, you begin to see it has a, like, I don't even know how to start, but it comes up slowly. You don't just see something like this. It will start at the bottom and you may see a little nub and then it begins to grow up. No, this is what I saw on the 12th when I woke up. And then 3 days later, it's even bigger. It's growing quickly. Abib, the new moon is going to literally be on Tuesday in 3 days. The Hebrew year. But the sign and what that was shown in our people was the grain. Abib means the new grain, the new ear. It means we learn to stand. It means the new green ears of growing grain as the parent seed. Okay, it's attached to the stalk. I showed you the picture. Here's the new, this is the new ear. This is the new green ear. Because I was wondering, I'm like, why is this, where is this coming from? I don't had this plant for 2 years and it's just been just these here that's hanging. This came out of nowhere. And I began to notice, but it came out and it was very tiny, like right where you see this red dot, that was about the size of it. And then it grew out to what you are looking at right now. But this is the baby ear, the new green ear. And look at the pole. It is attached to the pole, to the stock. How is this happening and growing out of the ear? Because that's what Abib means. The new green ear of growing grain. It's attached to, as we learn, according to the ancient Hebrew lexicon of the Bible, it's attached to the stalk. It's attached to the pole. How is this thing attached? And it says it is attached to the pole of the next generation of crops coming forth. This here, guys, is the next generation. We already have this generation right here. Yah wasn't coming from this generation that's already been here. He wanted to start the new generation. And it's literally attached to the stalk. Here it is. Right here, just growing forth out of the ear, the new ear. We are literally looking at a visual picture of Abib, according to the ancient Hebrew lexicon of the Bible. When I saw this, I'm telling you, it was a miracle before when he brought it back from here. But to do this out of the stalk, I have not seen any. I have not seen any growing out or attached to the actual stalk, to the ear, with a new green ear. That is how you know when the baby is, and Yah used my plant for me to know that Abib is here. This is the new month. And that slither of the moon is going to be on Tuesday, and you will literally be able to start counting from day 1. And from Tuesday will be day 1 to be able to count 14 days to Pesach and to keep us on track with the year. So I am giving all praises right now to my Abba Yah. Prina says you can come on in. I'm giving praises to Yah.
Hallelujah. 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 What a beautiful testimony, sis. I am just still in awe of Yah and all his goodness and his mercy. And yes, just us studying a month of Abib. I'm just in awe of all of this and how it relates to the ear. I am telling you, I know you were shouting.
Yes, I'm like, okay, because at first I didn't get it when the new green ear was coming in. I didn't get that at first. And I was wondering, like, okay, what is, but I'm like, okay, this is growing. I'm expecting to see buds because he had not done that before.
Right.
So he answered my prayers through my plant to put me on track.
Yes, he did. Hallelujah. I mean, I'm just in awe of Yah and just how he is just revealing his secret things and just how he's communicating. This is definitely a miracle. I am
telling you. Yes, it is. Yeah, because I've not seen any branches growing from the actual stalk.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually attached. Now, those, I've seen them. I've not seen a branch coming forth from a stalk. Like the other ones, it's not like that. I'm like, this one is literally growing and is attached to the stalk.
Yeah.
He said, I'm having a new branch come up. I'm doing something new. Like literally, you want to see Abib? I'm gonna use this plant. Like there's nothing that y'all can't do.
Yes,
I'm telling you.
And it mirrors literally definition. Yes, it does. It mirrors that whole definition of what Abib is when you went over it, and then just the story King Josiah, and I was just in awe of just that and how it related to the ear.
Yeah,
You
the
know,
reading, yes,
the
yes.
ear, and I'm just like, wow, this is
And it's the head of the grain.
grain.
Ear
Yes,
is head of the grain.
yes.
Ear, Abib means to stand. The strength and the support of the house. I mean, who would have thought and known that that's literally what that means? The strength,
Yeah.
the strength and the support. It's the strength of the house. Abib means strength of the house.
I'm telling you, like this lesson and previous is like coming full circle, because I remember when you had set up a standard and you had the scale, the peace sign that was in the picture that you with Joseph in the background, and how y'all directed your eyes on that. I mean, from there to now, you know, it's just like, wow, like we have been it's been some months since this been coming up, the word stand and pole. I was just in awe of this whole lesson, you know, and how you started out with, you know, what Abib is and how you determine, you know, what you look for, what it means, alive, new, fresh, and just giving like just biblical reference that, you know, in the month of Abib, you will recognize it through the sliver of the moon, not through that full illuminated moon, but through the sliver in itself, and just going into the story of how Yah made a covenant with his people, and he remembered their moaning and groaning, and he sent, you know, Moses and Aaron to command Pharaoh to let his people go, and they didn't, so that they can serve him during this time, and they didn't. And just going over that, and what Abib mean, like that moon, you know what I'm saying? And then going into, I mean, I was just in awe of the grain and the stalk and how it related to the previous, when you did Matthew 25, a house divided against itself cannot stand, and how it relates to that support system of Yah. Like when we left Yah, when we forsake his covenant, we didn't have no support of him.
Yeah, when we forsook it, well, we did not.
Yeah, you know, and we saw the calamity that fell upon us as a nation of people from that, and the curses that fell upon us, as stated in Deuteronomy 28 throughout scripture. And
that's why we can't stand now. And that's why YasharAL can't stand now. We can't stand before our enemies now because of that very reason. Because we left our support.
Yes. And that's why he said, you know, if my people will humble themselves and pray, you know, and repent of their
face. Yep.
Yes. You know, then I will heal you and your land. You know what I'm saying? So he's beckoning us to return and to the support that he once, you know, had for us. And I'm just in awe of this whole lesson, and just getting that thorough understanding of what Abib means. Just young, tender, green, and the ear. And then your revelation was a perfect illustration to show what Abib truly means. I'm telling you, Yah is awesome and on time.
Yes.
And, you know, he is awesome and on time. He show up on time. And sis, I can't hold water no more. Can I go?
Yeah, we can ready to go ahead. Yeah, because I know she can. She's ready. It's time for Prina. So we had 2 miracles. So Prina's ready to share her testimony. So I'm gonna allow her to go ahead.
Okay. Well, first I want to give praise to Yah for, you know, just his goodness and his mercy and showing his glory. Yes, this is an Abib testimony for me, and I didn't even know My dear sis had her testimony, because we talked, but she never shared. And so this is just both overjoying just to hear that in this new season that we're entering into, that Yah is just aligning those
Line it
miracles.
up.
Yes. So, okay. So all of you all know in October that my previous vehicle was stolen. It was totaled out. It was paid off, and then I was left with nothing. Okay. So I've been without a car since October, at the end of October. And my finances, yeah, blessed me, with a better job, but my finances still wasn't enough for me to purchase a vehicle. And so my daughter, my second oldest daughter, is working from home. And so she was like, Mom, you could just use my car until you get something. And so Yah just moved in her heart. I've had her car. Now I do return it back to her on the weekend, Friday night and before the Sabbath coming, and so she can have it. But she has been so gracious. Yah has allowed her to be so gracious for me to use her car to get to work, to do what I need to do. And just I just started looking for a vehicle because I was approved for a very small loan. And so my sister Shatan, she was helping me look for a car. So I've been looking for weeks, because I've been looking since 5 months, but I really started looking as of a few weeks because I was approved maybe about 2 weeks ago of a loan to get. So to make a long story short, I was on a wild goose hunt during this looking. So on Tuesday of the 14th, Shatan was like, I seen a couple of cars. She said, I'm gonna send it to you. She even we called the dealership together. We set an appointment for me to go Wednesday, okay, after work, to go look at the vehicle. So I get to the dealership, literally. They know I have a 4 o'clock appointment. I go to the desk. I tell the lady I have a 4 o'clock appointment with the salesperson. And she was like, well, he's busy right now. I'm going to get his assistants. Well, his assistant is busy. So I'm a little frustrated because, I know sometimes appointment can go over. But anyway, I asked the lady, I said, well, can I just go look for myself? And so she said, yes. And so the manager on the floor, I guess he heard, and he came over and he was like, well, what's the matter? And I told him that, I had an appointment. The guy, he did come over and acknowledge that, he was going to see me, but he didn't know the cars that I was talking about. So it was nothing ready. And I was expressing to him that I had another appointment that I needed to be to at a certain time. And I just said, well, can I just go out and look for myself? So I go out and look. And I guess the manager got into one of the salesperson that was helping me. So he came out immediately, like right after, and he was like, well, ma'am, we don't see the vehicles that you said the guy was supposed to set aside for you. And he was like, well, we have something over here. He said, our vehicles start at 12,000 and up. And I'm like, well, that's not what the guy told me on the phone. He's like, well, ma'am, to be truthful, we haven't seen any vehicles lower the under 5,000 or at 5,000 in years. This is what he's telling me. So I'm very frustrated. I said, so he lied to me? Like, and so I was like, so he was like, well, I tell you what, you can use your loan that you have, and then we can finance you for the rest. I said, absolutely not. Because see, I'm not getting tripped up again. I'm being obedient to what Yah is giving to me. I said, absolutely not. I'm leaving. I said, thank you. And I was just frustrated. So I called Shatan. Well, I called her in the process. And so we start looking for some more cars. And so I'm sitting for a second. I found a car. So I called him. I said, well, can I come down and look at the car? He was like, well, we're closing in about 5. Because you know, a lot of the dealerships now are closing early because of the sales. They're not getting a lot of sales, so their late nights is only one day a week, and it's not even at 9. It's like they're closing at 8 or 7, depending on the dealership. So I said, well, where are you at? And I told him, he asked me where I was at. And he was like, well, I can stay. He said, but you sound like you about 45 minutes away. He said, I can't stay that long because we not supposed to have people on the floor past our closing time. He said, I tell you what, he said, why don't you come tomorrow, which would have been Thursday, and I'll show you the vehicle. I said, okay. How about 4:00? So he said, okay. So I called him. I went to go look at the vehicle. And I said, I want to drive the vehicle. I don't want to just look at it, because the car was nice and clean. It was everything perfect on the outside, everything perfect on the inside. So I got in the car and I ain't even drive it a half a mile, and it was hesitant. It wouldn't even go past 20. It had a drag to it. So I pulled back into the dealership, and I said, no, I don't want this. I said, it has a drag, and the transmission is not. I said, it's something going on with this. And he was like, I said, well, what about the vehicles over there? He was like, well, yeah, that's in your price range. It was another vehicle that it looked like it was a Jeep, like a Cherokee or something. He was like, yeah, but unfortunately, he said, I tried to start it up today, and I thought it was no gas, but it wouldn't go either, like out of park. So I was like, okay. So he was like, so you don't want this car? I said, no, absolutely not. Like, I'm not gonna get a car that's not running. And so I said, okay, thank you, bye. So I left. So I'm like, that whole night, Thursday night, I'm praying, and I'm just praying to Yah as I'm looking. I said, Yah, I know that you didn't bless me with this loan for me not to get something. I said, just let my ram in the bush appear. Let my diamond in the rough appear. I said, I know it's nothing impossible that you can't do. So I said, I've been standing on your word. I've been trusting you. I mean, I'm just crying out to him, and I'm just praying to him, and I'm just giving him just all his accolades and acknowledging him, and just and thanking him for what he has given me thus far. And so during the night, like literally right before my eyelids was closing, I saw this vehicle. So I emailed it to myself, and I said, I'm gonna call it in the morning. So I get to work. This is Friday. So I get to work. On my prep time, I call, and I said, call the company. I said, hey, saw a vehicle online. I said, I would like to set up an appointment to see the vehicle. I said, sir, I just want to be honest with you. I said, I've been ran around, told stuff. I said, I don't want to waste my time. I said, so can you at least tell me if the car is worth for me to come look at? And so, because a couple of dealerships were honest, they were saying, ma'am, the vehicles that we have at that price are mechanics only, fix ups. And so he was like, no, ma'am, he was like, this is a well-running vehicle. It's nice and clean. And so I'm taking what he's saying as a grain of salt, because I know still he's a salesman, so he wants a sale. So I said, okay, well, I'll be there. So I'm taking a half day. So I let him know I'm taking a half day to come do what I need to do. Because I felt like this was going to be it. Okay. So now I'm going to tell you how the real wild goose chase started. So get off work, drive straight there. I get there. As I'm walking in the door, the guy said, hey, how you doing? Because he knew that I was coming. I told him that I was like 30 to 40 minutes from him. So it was no customers in there. He looks at me with this strange look. He said, you're not going to believe this. And I'm like, what? Believe what? What are you saying? He said, we lost the keys to the car. I looked at the guy and I said, you lost the keys to the car. He was like, yeah, he said, I can't show it to you. He said, because I lost the keys to the car and the car is locked. And the car was like blocked in by other cars, because the goal was, I told him, I said, when I get there, can you please have, you know, the car like ready for me just to go test drive it and go, so that I know if I'm going to spend my time going back to the bank to get what I need to pay for the car or go somewhere else. So he saw the look on my face. He said, I'm so sorry. He said, wait, don't leave. So he called his manager, and he was like, I'm looking for the keys. And he said, I can't find the keys. And he was apologizing multiple times, saying, you know, we remodeling, so we have keys in different rooms. And it wasn't labeled. The key was not my key. The key to the vehicle that I got was not labeled. So long story short, he said, give me your number. He said, I'm gonna write your number down, because his manager told him to write my number down so that he can call me if they find the key. Because he was like, if we don't find the key, we're gonna have to get a locksmith to change the lock. So I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe you blocking it. Maybe you, I don't know what's going on at this time. I was crying. I was in tears. I called Shatan and I was telling her what was going on. She was like, what? He lost the keys?
Right.
She was like, well, maybe that's some interference. So she kind of, brought me in to remember. So my prayer that I asked Yah, said, you know, if it's not for me, to block it. Okay. So now I'm on the hunt, looking for more cars. Shatan on the phone, helping me find cars, calling dealerships for me. So I go to another dealership, and in the process, she finds another vehicle. So after that, so I go to the dealership, I test drive a car. I'm like, absolutely not. It was running hard and rough, and I'm like, nope. If the body, everything, I'm telling you, looking nice, but under the hood, it was a lemon. So then I went where Shatan had called again, and the guy said there was some vehicles there. So I get there. He shows me the vehicle that he told Shatan I was going to be there, but he also said there was other vehicles there. So when I get there, he said, well, we only have the one vehicle, because when I looked it up, the other one is at our sister vehicle on the east side. I'm like, oh my goodness. So he was like, but let me just go on and show you this while I'm taking care of a customer. You could look at it, and if you want to test drive it, let me know. So I go out, look at the car, turn the car on, the check engine light on, it have all these codes on it. I'm like, absolutely not. So I'm like, okay, at this time, I'm frustrated, I'm distraught, and I'm just disappointed. Okay. So I go from there to drive back where Shatan was telling me to look for some more vehicles where some other dealership lots are at. And so as I'm driving there, I get the phone call. And he said, I found the keys. He said, if you want to, you can come back. So I'm like, okay. So I call Shatan and I said, he found the keys. And then she was like, I've been praying that, if this was interference, that, he will find the keys. If it was interference from the enemy of you, he will find the keys. But if it's not, then, to block it if it is. And then if it's not, then let him find the keys. So I like, okay. So I didn't even go to the other dealership that I was supposed to go to. I just said, okay, let me turn around and go. So I get to the dealership. They had a car ready for me, everything. The manager's apologizing. The guy that was assisting me prior to that was still apologizing. And he was like, go on and test drive the car. And so he was like, don't go too far, because you don't have the proper place that you need to test drive. So I'm driving, and when I got in the car, I just felt that it was mine. I was so excited. And I'm like, yes, this is my car. I'm like, yeah, praising Yah. And then I'm like, hold on. Let me check the heat, the AC, check the windows, check everything else, because I'm so overjoyed,
Right.
So I get back to the dealership. and I tell them, okay, I'm gonna go to the bank. Can you please type up a purchase agreement so I can go back to the bank so that they can, my credit union, so they can cut the check. So now it ain't over. Okay, the enemy was working so hard. I'm telling you, now this is about 4 something. I didn't know that the car place closed at 5. Okay, so this was like almost 4. So I'm leaving there with the purchase agreement while calling, because while I was there, while he was typing up the purchase agreement, I was calling insurance places too. So I'm driving to my credit union, which is 40 minutes away. And then I get to the credit union with the insurance agent on the, on speaker. And so I'm talking to both people, like both people. And then I'm looking at my financer's face. She didn't have a good look. So I put the phone on. I told the insurance people, I said, hold on, please. So I put the insurance company on hold. And she looked at me and she said, we approved you for the loan, but the underwriting is not letting this loan go through. And I said, what? And she was like, yes. She was like, they found something on your credit report, and the only way they're going to release it, the funds, is if you had a verbal, I mean, not she didn't say verbal, agreement that you was going to pay this one bill. So I said, I did have an agreement. I said, I told you I had an agreement. She said, well, do you have a letter? I said, a letter? She said, yeah, they want a letter. I said, I don't have a letter. She said, well, how did you make the agreement? I said, I told you it was a verbal agreement. So she said, I want you to stop right now. She said, I want you to email me the verbal agreement that you made with the company, and then you send it to me, and I'm going to send it to underwriting. I'm talking about all this is happening. Shatan is calling me. The insurance lady is on the phone. My brain is like, I'm texting Shatan. I'm in a whirlwind right now. I'm telling her what's going on. And
I'm praying the whole time.
Right. And Shatan is praying the whole time. So she said, okay, the underwriting is saying with the verbal agreement you made, you have to have the $50 in your account. Like, they were being so petty with the $50. So she said, you got to have the $50 in your account, or they not going to sign this. They not going to release the check. So I had the $50. She said, okay, we're going to write. She said, they want to take the $50 out of your check. They're going to do a cashier's check with the company's name. And she said, the agreement is that within this next week, you are going to take the check to them in order for this loan to go through. I said, I will do that. I said, you can do all of that. So she said, okay. So while she's doing that, the man is blowing up my phone from the dealership. He was like, ma'am, he said, we're closed. We're closing. He was like, you're not coming back? I said, yeah, I'm at the bank. He was like, well, how long is it going to take for the bank to cut the check? He said, because we close at 5. This was almost like about like 4:50, somewhere in there. So the lady at the credit union, she was like, sir, because she hearing him. She was like, sir, you can't wait for the check. She was like, I can't go fast. We underwriting is doing this. And so she said, I'm gonna what she said? She said, you can't wait for the check. So then he was like, can you come? This is what he telling me, because he like, I listening to her because I'm trying to get home. So he was like, well, can you come on Saturday? I said, no, sir. I keep the Sabbath, Friday sundown and Saturday sundown. I said, you said you close at 4 on Saturday, so I can't come. I said, the only next time I could come is Monday. So he said, okay, I'll wait for you.
Hallelujah.
He said, I'm gonna wait for you. So I'm telling you, I'm making this a little shorter. 2 hours went by. I didn't get to him to close to 6:58.
Wow. Wow. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. And I said, thank you for waiting. He was like, no. He said, I'm gonna make sure you get the vehicle. So he sat there and then it was another 30 minutes because he had to pull up the paperwork, like sign the paperwork and stuff. So I didn't leave there to almost I'm telling you, the sun was just about to go down.
Hallelujah.
Okay.
Praise. Yeah.
I was like, and then so this ain't even a long story. Okay, so then I was like, well, I signed everything. I said, and he said, I said, you lock your gates? He said, yes. He said, I said, well, can I put my vehicle on the outside of my gates? Because I can't drive my car home because it was just me, because I didn't have time. So the goal was for me to go get my daughter in the process and bring her with me. Then I didn't have to wait for all of this. But since it was going down and he needed to go, and he had already almost waited 2 hours for me. Like literally, he did wait 2 hours because by the time we were done, it was 2 hours. And I'm telling you, I was just like, thank you, Yah. I was just shouting and thanking him. And that's my testimony of the month of Abib. I'm just telling you that Yah is showing me, like, you have to stand on his word. And I kept, calling his word out to him in the process and just trusting him. And I just said, yeah, you are the mechanic. You are everything that I need. I don't know how or what to look for. I said, but you let my spirit know if it's a yay or nay so that I can just move on. I said, place your desire of what you want me to have and I will buy it. And I'm telling you, even though there was some weapons going on in the background, he made
They
sure
didn't prosper.
that I had, absolutely, he made sure that I had that ram in the bush that was waiting on.
Yes. I mean, it's a beautiful vehicle. Very
Yeah,
pretty. I love it. I love
yeah,
it. Very, I mean, yeah. And then as you were talking about, the loan that he gave you, the 5,000, it just came to the Hebrew letter, hey, the fifth letter, the Hebrew alphabet, which is behold, which is to pay attention, to look, a
yeah.
revelation. And he gave
Hallelujah.
you exactly what you needed,
Yes,
and he gives you a little, and be faithful over the little things, and then he'll give you more. And so it's just like, yeah, like this whole thing, because she changed from her bank. I had just told her, I said, sis, you need to leave banks and go to a credit union, because
yeah,
the credit union is more family. This is my same credit union. My brother's with this credit union, but I've been with this credit union for 13 years. And so, and they, give loans, more easily. It's a more family environment. I mean, you see how hard that woman
yes,
worked for her to get this loan. Whereas if she'd have been at that bank, she wouldn't have gotten this. She
no,
wouldn't have gotten this loan because her credit wasn't where it needed to be for her
yeah,
to be able to get the loan.
yeah,
So, Yah worked everything out.
yeah,
Despite, he's like, you don't need worldly credit
yeah,
to get the blessing that Yah has for you. Whatever Yah has for you, he will take what seems impossible and what you may
yeah,
think you
absolutely.
unqualified for and make you qualified. As a servant of Yah, we qualify for everything that Yah
Pass.
desires to
Yeah,
give to us according to his will and purpose. So we rejoice on this Shabbat, on this
yes, hallelujah.
approaching Abib, hallelujah, and
Yes,
giving Yah all of the praise and the glory and exalting and lifting up his great name, because
yes,
he is great and greatly to be praised. Yah is awesome. I tell you, just like what he did with both of us this week, showing his power.
absolutely. Yes, he did.
So the enemy tried his best to stop her. She has been, and in my prayers that I prayed while everything was going on, I reminded him of her faithfulness and her trusting him, and for him to open the door. Your arm is not too short. And I started praying in the spiritual realm for whatever was going on that was trying to hinder the blessing from coming forth. A lot of times, like, was it in Daniel, the prayer, and he was being held up?
Yes.
Yes. And so sometimes those things are happening, and I am waiting. So this year, Yah has blessed her, with this new position at the top, the #1 district in the state of Michigan. They have like 600 and something, almost 700 districts, and Prina's in the one that is the top district 3 out of 4 years in a row. It's the district that I live in, the district that my son also attends as well. And
yes,
and I'm waiting on my testimony that I feel like is coming.
Yes,
and that's all I will say. In this new season, I believe that mine is coming soon, and I'll just leave it at that. I won't say anything else. I'll wait, and hopefully very soon, I will have my testimony of where Yah is gonna have me with my new wherever he placed me with my job. Thank you to the sisters who have reached out to support me. You know who you are. I'm not going to give names or anything like that because you're giving from the heart. So what we do in secret, he says he will reward you openly. And so I just want to say thank you for everyone. Prina, thank you, sis. Because I'm telling you, I'm on Prina payroll. That's all I got to say, okay? I'm on Prina's payroll. Every check, she gives me, out of every check she gets, she sends me money. Like, I don't ask her. She just do it. Every check, she's giving me a portion of her money. And I had just to remind she's just been such a faithful friend. And she's not just her. I've had others as well, who have been giving to me, who have supporting me, who've been calling me, who've been checking on me, who've been asking, do you need something? Because I've been out of work since August.
Yeah.
That's a long time. But all praises be to Yah, because he has been sustaining me. The entire time, Yah has been sustaining me. He has not, I have not been forsaken. I have not lacked. I have had everything I need. And so for everyone who has been supporting me, you know who you are, who have been supporting me monthly, been sending me money, making sure that, I have food, and making sure that I have all my needs, and who have been checking up on me and praying for me and calling me. Thank you. I thank everyone, because it is just it's hard for me because this is something that's unfamiliar. I'm used to being the one that, is supporting others and giving to others. And I sometimes feel like, okay, I'm not worthy. And then people say, it's your time. You supported me. And so do you realize how much support that you have been to others, not just financially, but spiritually? Growing people. That was like, you are worthy of someone just for you, for a change, sit back and let others. And sometimes you going through a trial, it's not about you, it's about others to see where your heart is and if you're going to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because he said, you give in to the least of these. The woman who gave to Yahusha, she gave her last. She didn't have anything else, but she gave him the last of what she had. He says, you know what, you've done better than the rest of these, is because you didn't have anything and you gave me your last. He said, whatever you do to the least of them brethren, you do it unto me. And so I want to just say, thank you for those of you who have, because I'm telling you, for me, and this, it has not been a pleasant journey with trying to build relationships with brethren in the faith, because it's so much trauma that has come with this awakening, so much hate, so much envy. It's just been a lot. This is my 19th year in this walk, since this faith walk and this awakening, and it has been a journey. I can definitely say that, and I have not, I yearn to build more relationships with brethren. And Prina and I are going to be we're going to let you know soon. So stay tuned for a video. We want to have like a midnight praise
Yeah.
I would like to do it. I know on the new moon, but it's a praise coming up just to praise Yah, to just, you know, they in the scriptures and they praise them in the midnight. We want to have a midnight praise, and we're going to give you more information on that. And we hope to have a conference this summer. But we'll see how things go. But yeah, willing, continue to keep me lifted up in prayer as my trial is still going on. But I believe, and I can feel it, that it's coming. That Yah just started with Joseph to show me what he's getting ready to do. Those who wait on Yah shall not be ashamed. And those who wait on Yah shall renew their strength. Hallelujah. Shabbat shalom to you all. And Yah descended in a cloud and stood with Moses there and proclaimed the name of Yah. Exodus 34, verse 5. Merciful, oh Yah, gracious, oh Yah, slow to anger, Yah, great in goodness, Yah. Merciful, oh Yah, gracious, oh Yah, slow to anger, Yah, great in truth, oh Yah. Merciful, oh Yah, gracious, oh Yah, faithful, oh Yah, all powerful, Yah, merciful, oh Yah, loving kindness, Yah, long suffering, Yah, loyal, oh Yah, gracious, oh Yah, compassionate, Yah, forgiving, oh Yah, all powerful, Yah, merciful, oh Yah, gracious, oh Yah, slow to anger, Yah, great in goodness, Yah, merciful, oh Yah, long suffering, Yah, compassionate, Yah, loyal, oh Yah, merciful, oh Yah, all powerful, Yah, slow to anger, Yah, great, oh Yah, merciful, oh Yah, faithful, oh Yah, forgiving, oh Yah, long suffering, Yah, merciful, oh Yah. Yah keeps mercy for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgressions and sins, and will by no means leave the guilty unpunished. For he will visit the iniquities of the fathers on their children and their children's children till the third and fourth generation. Now worship, bow down as Moses did when he was shown the name of Yah. Bow down and worship. Prostrate yourselves before our Almighty Yah, who is merciful, who is gracious, who shows loving kindness, who has been slow to anger with us, who has been great in goodness and in truth with us, who is faithful, who is sovereign, all powerful, all knowing, loving kindness, Yah, loyal, long suffering, compassionate, and forgiving, Yah. Bow down and prostrate yourselves, humble yourselves to He who is worthy to be praised. The name of Yah is worthy to be praised. Let us exalt the name of Yah. Let us bless his name. Let us declare of his mighty works and his goodness before all the people. For Yah and Yah alone is to be exalted. Hallelujah. Let us give glory to the name of Yah. Wherever you are listening to the sound of my voice, raise your hands up high like the palm trees. Raise them up high and give glory and honor to he who is worthy to be praised. Bless the name of Yah. Tell of all his wonders. Bless his name. Sing a new song. Sing a new song unto Yah. Lift up your hands in praises to Almighty Yah, the Almighty One of Israel. Hallelujah.